Welcome to the Studio Chat podcast. My name is Barbara Thompson. Each week I'll be bringing you a self-care expert or a message to help you to discover how to live your best life and understand your mind-body connection. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now, let the Studio Chat begin. Hey guys, welcome to this episode of Studio Chat. In this episode, I chat with Jenni Louise about what life looks like for women in their 50s with dating, self-love, relationships, and just living the daily life. Jenni's from Envision Holistic Therapies. We talk everything about what life is like coming into your 50s with love life, dating, and how to be your true authentic self. We're really lucky to have her on this podcast today, sharing her journey with what she's experienced in her life so far and how she's got to where she is today. Happily married in her 50s, meeting the love of her life through online dating. Jenni is a business owner, a mother, therapist, and offers holistic services such as reiki, chakra balancing, and oracle guidance readings. She wants women to know that they're not alone. Join us as we have a great chat in this episode, all about dating, self-love, relationships, and living life. Let's dive in. Welcome to this episode of Studio Chat. I would love to introduce you to my guest today. Her name is Jenni, and she's from Envision Holistic Therapies. I'm really happy to have you on my podcast today. Welcome, Jenni.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about some really exciting stuff. We're going to talk about women coming into their 50s, coming into their own, age is no barrier, and being your authentic self. Now, before we chat about all this juicy stuff, I'd love you to share with my listeners, Jenni, a bit about you and what you do.
Okay, so I have a little holistic therapies business. I do reiki, chakra balancing, oracle card reading, and a little coaching program called Reset Refocus, assisting women with about what direction they want to go to, whether it's about a change of career, study, if they're new to the dating world in their 50s, giving them a bit of advice, just helping them along. Just wanting to help women in their 50s, just get some direction, know that they're beautiful and loved, and that life is for the living.
Oh, I love that. Can you tell me a little bit how did you get to this place? Why are you doing what you're doing?
Okay, it's taken me a really long time. I got to this place in my late 40s. It's been a real roller coaster of a journey. I've taken a lot of life lessons and learnings from this. I believe growing up, I never really found my place. I never really fitted in anywhere. I was awkward. I was uncomfortable. And high school was a really big point, like a real, it had a real effect on life. I just wanted to fit in. I wanted to find my tribe. I wasn't really me. I masked who I was. I thought being funny or the class clown or was who I needed to be a part of something. I came from a broken, my parents divorced when I was quite young. I mean, I'm not the only one that's experienced that, but I think that sometimes that leads to, when you don't have that male influence or you have just a female predominance in your life, there's not that balance there. You're out of alignment when it comes to parenting. She did a great job. I had a great grandmother, but then, it led to making wrong choices when it comes to relationships with men, seeking love in the wrong places, getting married to the wrong type of men, knowing that they weren't the right person for me, but going ahead with it anyway because it was the right thing to do. I didn't want to back out because I felt guilty, and plus, I had a child. All these things that sort of don't develop you as a person, they actually hold you back, because you're not being true to who you are. And then when I had, a marriage breakdown, and then I had a really bad toxic relationship. I think we've all experienced one of those within the life. If you haven't, you're very, very lucky, where there's that emotional abuse, the put downs, the ghosting, that term that's, making you feel that it's all you. And I think the catalyst for that relationship was when I fell pregnant in my early 40s. And unfortunately, I had a miscarriage, and I was told that, oh, that's your fault because you're too fat, you lost the baby. That to me was like, who says that to a person? But you're in that relationship, and they start to tell you everything you want to hear. You start to feel good again. Oh, that's not them. Oh, it's, maybe it is me. And then when it finally ended, because there's a lot of unfortunate, you're vulnerable when your relationship breaks down, and then they come in and out of your life, and they use you like that welcome mat, and you unfortunately open that door until you get to a point. It's like someone says to you, what are you doing? It's like as if the universe or your guides or whoever they are say to you, wake up. This is not good for you, girl. Get out of there. And it got to that point where that happened. I had, other little relationships. But then I thought to myself, what am I doing? Where am I going? And I thought to myself, I've always had this desire and need to, if there was other women like me who had experienced things throughout life, good, bad, they would want to know that there is someone else there just like them, and who is finally understanding what this life is all about. And if I can help anyone, guide anyone, support anyone to live their best life, because sometimes when we have these roadblocks and you feel like you're constantly hitting your head, and you're battling with the low self-esteem and the negative self-talk, you want to know that you're not alone, and that you've got that support there, and you want that support to be authentic. And it's important, because I said to you earlier that it's sad that I grew up with some really fabulous people, girlfriends, male friends, but they never got to know me, because I was afraid to show who I was, because I thought to myself, they wouldn't like me. I was that typical, girl growing up in the 80s, looking for Ella Brandy. I don't know if you've read that book. It's about an ethnic girl growing up in a real Anglo environment. My granddad owned a delicatessen. It was like, oh no, how embarrassing. But you know what? I should have embraced it. You know what I mean? Embraced my culture, embraced all that. You know what I mean? Because looking back now, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
But back then it was like, someone from school would walk into the deli, be like, hiding behind the counter. Oh no, don't look at me! Don't look at me! Oh, this is embarrassing. You know what I mean? But it's all life lessons. And it came like as I mentioned, it was my late 40s. That's why I love giving women advice about dating, because sometimes they're coming out of a bad relationship, or they're divorced. They think, oh, I don't, there's no good men out there, and I think, no, stop. There are, because I found a good man in my 50s, and I met him internet dating. I say to people, don't close off that. Don't not internet dating. Yeah, there's good and bad in every experience that you have, whether you meet them at the pub, whether you meet them online, you know what I mean? And you're going to meet those men that just want to see extra naughty pics, and I thought to myself, you know what, if there's someone genuine, I want to genuinely meet someone, then there's got to be a man out there that genuinely wants to meet me. That's why I like giving dating advice to women in the 50s, because the thing is, don't knock it until you try it. And now I'm married.
Oh, wow.
So it works. It works. So there's that's why there's don't hold yourself back. Like I was saying, we are the biggest and most important project to work on. And as I said before, the only person you've got to impress is yourself. Because the thing is, why is age a barrier? Men can still have kids in their 60s, 70s and 80s. So why do we feel we can't live?
You know what it is, I think, is because I'm in my early 40s and I'm single, and I have been
Mm.
single for 4 years. And I know if any of my girlfriends, they will listen to this podcast, and I'm going to get messages because I personally don't do online dating. But
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I don't do it is because I have a very strong magnet for dangerous sociopath men. So I know, my story. And so I've just chosen to stay away from that. I will meet him when I'm out and about or through friends or whatever. I know it's going to happen. But
Mm.
like for me, I've been brought up with it, and I've had 30, it was until I was about 35 or 36 that I broke that family cycle. So I'm working with 35 years of deep conditioning to be
Mm-hmm.
attracted to a certain man. So I know
Yeah.
online dating just isn't, like, you got to work out what's right for you. So I already know it's not right for me because I've got to protect myself and be a little bit
Mm.
careful, because online anyone can be anyone. But I,
Oh, definitely.
when you said at this particular age, mid 40s, early 40s, mid 40s, late 40s, is where a lot of women are scared to be alone. They
Yes.
put up with a lot of shit, but
True.
also I want them, the message that I think both of us are bringing out there today is life isn't over when you get to a certain age.
No.
And you've just proven that, and you
Mm.
need to be happy, and likes attract like. So you
Mm-hmm.
deserve to be with someone. You deserve to be happy.
You deserve to be happy. And I always look at it this way. As I said, life is for the living. Each year we experience seasons: summer, spring, autumn, winter. And we're also going to experience those seasons throughout our life, whether that be with work, relationships, friendships. People come into our lives for a reason, whether to guide us, to love us, and to teach us, and to teach us with what we will and won't accept in our lives. I feel that these people that come into our lives are valuable teachers, and we need to experience the love and the hurt in order to get to a higher place for ourselves. And ultimately, it's beneficial for our greater good. Because without the love and the hurt, we don't, if everything was so perfect, I mean, really, I mean, I don't want to make a joke of it, but life would be a little bit boring. We need sometimes to have those ebbs and flows of, the hurt, the emotion, the crying, because, when we cry, we're shedding, we're getting rid of things, we're releasing that emotion. And the thing is, and we need to also, and I was on Facebook, and, we get these, all these memes coming up all the time, but there was a really great one, and it had Morgan Freeman, who I love, and it just said, basically we need to experience failure, because failure is a part of life. And if we don't experience failure, we'll never learn to change.
Very true.
So we really need to, just be kind to ourselves. And there is nothing, I mean, I started with, meditating, some affirmations. And there's nothing wrong with standing in the mirror thinking, oh, that's ridiculous. That's, that's that woo-woo stuff. No, it's actually quite healthy. It actually works. Talking to ourselves in a loving manner, and also, why not? We need to learn to love. And we need to learn to love ourselves, because the thing is, how are we expected to love anybody else, really? And we've all heard that before. We've all heard that, you've got to love yourself before you can love someone else. Yeah, I remember growing up thinking, yeah, what a load of hogwash, that's a load of, whatever. But it's true. It ultimately is true. Because at the end of the day, and we've also got to be kind. There's no point saying, oh, I love and believe in myself when your thoughts don't say the same things, because it's counterbalancing itself. It's counteracting. You know what I mean? It's basically, don't say it. Don't say the affirmation if you're not going to believe that within your mind, because it becomes neutral. I always try and think to myself, whenever a negative thought comes into my mind, I think of the positive, and I sit with that positive, for a few seconds, because the more you think with that positive vibration, it's hard for that negative to come back in again.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to, we negative thoughts are really, and fear is extremely crippling. And sometimes we just got to take that leap of faith
Mm.
and make that change for ourselves, because it can be really overwhelming when you get to a certain age and, like I said, you're either on your own, out of a bad relationship, even then still in a marriage or in a relationship, but you just don't know. You want more for yourself. Don't limit yourself. If you're thinking about studying, go and study. You can start, and if it doesn't resonate with you, don't be afraid to walk away from it. There's always, another. It might open up a door to another journey for yourself. There's, like I said, there's people that are going to uni and TAFE in their 60s and 70s. Like, why do we, as women, put focus on this age? At the end of the day, whereas they used to say, men used to say, I'm as old as I'm as old as the woman that's beside me. Do you know what I mean? So if they're with a younger woman, basically, if she's in her 30s and he's in his 50s, then he's going to be in his 30s. Like, okay, right, rightio. But you know what? Why don't we have that attitude? Why don't we think, well, you know what? I'm on my 50s. If you want to, date a younger guy, you want to date a guy that's the same age, you want to date an older guy, or you just want to embark on, I want to travel the world. Why do we put these limitations on ourselves? We shouldn't.
Mm.
Age is so, it's like, to me, it's like the biggest fear as soon as you get to your 50s, and it's like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I'm in my 50s, and then women start to think they need to, not age gracefully. There's nothing wrong. I mean, hey, you can do whatever you want with yourself, physically, enhancements, do it as long as you're true to yourself, as long as that's not a mask to try and fit into the world.
Yeah. Can we talk about fear, and can we talk about if we've got listeners that are listening that either one of the three, they may be alone, they may be wanting to date, they may have left a relationship, like a long-term marriage, or they may be in a marriage they're not happy with now. Can you share like your process of like wanting to date again and just wanting to, like, we're never too old to date or to find that special someone, but what was it in you that kind of gave you the drive force to just keep going and like go online dating, meeting people, because it's scary. Like, is there anything
very
with people that are listening to? Yeah.
I mean, look, I did the going out to the pub, and I thought to myself, I almost gave up, because the experience, on like dating, you sort of think, oh my God, is this the best out there? Like, this is, no, I'd rather be on my own forever. Do you know what I mean? I thought, I can't do this. I mean, if another guy sends me a DP pic, like, seriously, that's not you feel like saying, mate, that is not a turn on.
Yeah.
I'm running for the hills. You know what I mean? Please, like, I want conversation. I think it's really important that, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I think sometimes when fire off, oh, what do you do for a living? What do you drive? What are you this? What are you that? What are you that? I mean, that can be a little bit, whoa, I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with having a checklist. I think, for me, what about having a conversation with someone? Do you know what I mean? And we know that there's going to be multiple chatting. You know what I mean? They're not just going to be chatting with you. As long as you take yourself off the sites and really you realize you want to focus on that. Is it scary? Yes. Is it like, oh my God, what am I doing? Really, I'm in my 50s. Like, oh my God, most guys in that age are probably looking for someone younger. But I got to the point when I thought to myself, you know what? And I mentioned that before. If I'm generally looking for someone to have a relationship, weeding through all the bullshit that's out there's got to be a man that wants a relationship with a woman, that they can connect with. This is a different stage in our lives where I think it's about connection and companionship. I mean, yes, sex is important, But I think ultimately, it's about that companionship, feeling safe and secure, and having that person that's going to see you through those twilight years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, it's about, you grow up for life and it's a bad boy, you know what I mean? Well, that's exciting. That's, the sex is, when you're young, you make terrible choices, unfortunately, because I don't know. I don't know, the bad boys sometimes, not all of us, but some of us, and I was probably one of those, oh, it's really attractive, oh, it's exciting, but no, ultimately it's not healthy, is it over? Yeah, it's overwhelming. Like, I remember I went on a date with a guy, he was really full on, and I was like, hold on a second, we haven't met yet. Let's, just let's meet first. And then as soon as and it's also scary when you're going to a place and you're on your own, you're feeling very vulnerable because you're walking to an environment where, if it's a pub situation or a restaurant and you're walking in on your own, that's scary. That's overwhelming. And fighting through that, it can be quite hard. And all those nerves are coming up. And you walk in there. I remember walking in there and his face completely dropped.
What?
Yeah, his face completely dropped. Because I said to him, because he like, I knew there was flags because he was showing me pictures of his ex-girlfriend, and I said, yeah,
why would you do that? What
yeah. I mean, really, that should have been enough for me to say, walk away now. But, so, and I walked in, because I said to him, I said, I'm not as thin as that, I'm curvy, la, la, la. And I thought to myself, oh, I don't know about this, is really full on. And like I said to you, I walked in and the glaze look just came over. And it was just completely like, you could sense he wanted to run. And I think to myself, that's soul destroying. That affects your self-esteem. It affects your confidence. But don't let those experiences knock you down.
Can I ask, I bet you, looking back now, he wasn't much, was he? It's always the guys that really aren't that much that really think that they're more than what they are.
You know what? You're spot on. And I can tell you, I don't know if you know Poison, the band, Brett Michaels, from the lead singer of Poison. Google him. He was the probably holding on to his youth way too much. Trying to think he was, like who's it? Pamela Anderson was married to him.
Tommy Lee or whatever.
Tommy Lee. It was like, rock and roll, that heavy metal band. He looked like, one of those. So stuck in the 80s, with the chain around his jeans. I'm thinking, okay, yep. So you're right. He wasn't all that, but he was after all that.
Well, I have a word. He's a knob. So that's basically what he was, right?
Yeah. Yes, but I don't want, it's like some people say, oh, how did you meet your husband? Oh, internet dating. Oh, no way. And I get that.
Really?
I'm
to you?
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Do people say that to you?
Oh, yeah. They go, oh, internet dating. Like, oh, no way. And I go, and I get that because I'm like yourself. I have like a neon sign above my head that says, narcissists.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to,
welcome here. It's like a welcome mat. Come here.
Come here. I'm here. Yes. I'll take everything you want to give me, but I tell you, so I totally get that. But at the end of the day, like, the thing is, like, I'm a believer like yourself. If you're meant to meet, because that was the last time I was going to go on internet dating. My girlfriend said to me, no, don't give it. I said, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm sick of it. These guys are just, seriously, they're looking for this, they're looking for that. There is no perfect person out there. You know what I mean? So I don't know, they should just get a cardboard cutout of Kim Kardashian and just have her sitting in the lounge room, because that perfect woman isn't out there.
But she's not perfect either.
No, she's not. And the thing is, when we get to a certain age as well, men and women, we're slightly flawed and we've got baggage. We either come with children or we don't, and it's meeting that person that, like I said, that is looking for what you're looking. They are out there. I don't want women to think that from their past experiences. Because let me tell you, I had a beauty of a narcissist. Let me tell you, he was like, like you said, a couple of things. Oh, I only usually date Paris models, those ones with the long legs, and and I'm like, oh, okay, right, and I was like, well, I'm definitely not that type of girl. You might be with the wrong person, and I'm thinking, mate, you're like, really take a look at yourself,
Yeah.
like,
It's always the ones that I'm laughing because at the time, the guys that that I married or have dated, you always think that they're a bit of all right.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And then every time I've shown someone a photo or it's like now I can see it because I've healed. And the trick is, guys, and anyone listening to this, I want you to know that once you love yourself, it
yes,
changes the game. Up
oh,
until this point, I never loved myself. So I was attracting people that didn't
yep,
love themselves
yeah,
and would treat me like shit. So I would look
yes,
at these guys, show people photos. Even today, if I show people photos and stuff, they go, oh my God, Barbara, oh my God. Like it got so bad when I used to date these guys, I would get tapped on the shoulder by strangers when I was out saying, oh, can I just have a word with you? And it's what happened multiple times, not just one,
wow,
not just, why are you with him? Or
wow,
or I'll be out
oh,
drinking with and then some girls would pull me aside and go, babes, I know we don't know you. And I'll be like, I was like, why does this happen to me all the time? Why are you with him? Oh my God. I'll be like, oh, but I love him. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
I used to get hit on by other guys coming up to me going, you look really miserable. Do you want to come out hang with my mates? Are you okay? And I'd be like, yeah. Or sometimes I'd tell my partner, and they'd be like, I don't give a F. Like, go. If you want to go with the bloke, I don't care. So it was interesting from my experience. I had so many outsiders, people that knew me, but people that didn't know me, that would constantly tell me, even once, oh, don't worry, I'm not going to ID you at a bar because you're with your father. I wasn't with my father.
oh my Lord. I can relate to this. I mean, Barbara, I feel like, high-fiving, saying, oh my God, that sounds like my journey with men. But it was because I wanted to feel loved.
Yeah.
I wanted to feel, some of the void that I experienced with, not having that, that male figure in my life. I wanted to feel loved. And the thing is, it was the wrong love. It
Yeah.
wasn't that, authentic love. Someone who actually really loves you, and supports you and encourages you on that's got your back.
You know what the word is? Unconditional love.
It's you know what, Barbara, that's exactly, it's like a bloody dog. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yeah.
They give you that beautiful unconditional love. Why can't we give that to ourselves, and why can't we find that in a partner? You know what I mean? Because and that's exactly what we deserve, unconditional love. And dogs are just a great example of that unconditional love. The minute you come home, they're smothering you with love, and they, and when you're down, they sense that, and they come up to you and they give you those beautiful puppy eyes. You know what? We should be getting that in our partner.
Do
You
you get
know,
that now in your husband?
I do. He's my greatest supporter, and I feel very blessed. I feel blessed every day, and I want to give people, not people. I want to give women
The hope.
the hope. Have the belief and the hope and the faith, whether your partner's male or female, that they are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Put it out there, because the universe will listen to you. It does listen to you, whether it be internet dating, whether it be going out for, going to the pub, because you know what? If you're meant to meet them, he will come into your life. Like I said to you, I wasn't going to do internet dating because I was almost like, oh, this is a joke. Seriously, this is ridiculous. Like, I can't handle this anymore. Like, are they truly men? Aren't this juvenile? Are they? Where
Yeah.
they want to see you in a bra. There's got to be some men with depth. Come on, you know what I mean? Yes, we can talk about the hanky panky stuff. When we're actually getting to know each other for real. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're starting to get to know someone, come on, let's have a little bit of depth to getting to know one another. You know what I mean? Like, it's really quite empty. You know what I mean? And it's really discouraging. But I don't want people discouraged. And it comes to with anything in life. Some people might have, lost their job through COVID and have no direction. You know what I mean? I'm a believer of also doing, vision boards. They help to sort of, give you a bit of direction. What do you want? Putting it out there. Because the thing is, whether you believe in God, angels, guides, whatever that resonates for you, if you, our language, our talk is very, very important. So basically, if you put it out there, it's amazing. You can manifest these things into your life. But but the important thing is that we've got to speak it and we've got to believe it. There's no point, like I said before, saying it and thinking, oh, that's, I am really big. I want to, I'm looking slimmer and slimmer every day. And it's like, no, you're a fat cow. You just had a crunchy bar. Do you know what I mean? Because it's counterbalancing. It's like, you're not going to manifest, what you want in your life. It's just being open to things, and accepting who you are. And there's a really great quote from Jackie Joyner. I think it's Jackie Joyner Cursor. She's an American track and field athlete. She says, age is no barrier. The limitation you put on your mind. You know what I mean? And once we start breaking those limitations and those limiting beliefs, we can do anything. It's that belief that we can. Who cares if we're 50 and 60? What has age got to do with us achieving, a new career, studying, new love, friends? Because sometimes, friends can be toxic to us. And sometimes, like friends can really be, and it's okay. Sometimes you just need to walk away from it. It can be difficult, but you need to sort of think to myself, what is that person bringing to my life? If there's more hurt, than joy, and they're not actually encouraging you, you're sensing that they're discouraging you, that they're not actually on team Barbara, team Jenny, that there's actually things going on around behind you. Things always come to the surface. The truth always will, you'll always, it mightn't be a week later, a month later, a year later, but you know what I mean? You need to surround yourself with people who are like-minded. And I think that sort of, and there is nothing wrong. There's some people say, oh, but I've known her for 20 years. I've known her since kindy. Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. You don't hold on to people because of that nostalgia. What are they supportive? Are they encouraging? Do you trust them? Are they? Do you have fun with them, or are you just holding on to them because it's what you know? You're closing yourself off from meeting new people.
What I find with friendships, especially when you get into your 30s and 40s and stuff, what I want people to hear is, what's your friend's words and actions? So a lot of the time, you find your friend talks about other people in a certain way, I can guarantee they'll be talking about you. And that's something I see in my studio with my clients a lot, is they hold on to friendships for nostalgia reasons. Or I won't have any friends if I don't hold on to them. And maybe I'm being silly, but don't distrust yourself. Have your own back. Listen to your intuition, but watch people's actions. Do they ask you how you are? Is it always you reaching out to them? How do you feel when you leave them? After the coffee date, do you feel drained, or do you actually feel really good? But we're all human beings. Like, everyone talks about you. It's conversation. Oh, did you know blah blah's doing this? Like, there's nothing wrong with talking about other people, because we're human, and it's conversation, it's communication. We all do it. But if it's the way that and especially about women, about other women, like we talked about it before the podcast, why can't we stop the bullshit, competing against each other? We just get on. Why do we have to be constantly comparing ourselves to each other? Can't we just support each other and be there for one another?
I couldn't agree with you more. That's why I said to you, that movie, The Traveling Sisterhood of the Yaya Pants, we've got each other's back, but it's like, no, once she walks out of the room, you're stabbing her in the back.
Yeah.
Yes, let's stop the competition. Let's generally really support that person. Our time will come. Just because they're, they've gotten a promotion, or they're in a new relationship, or they've come into a bit of money, our time will come.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in like, oh, bloody hell, bitch, she's got all this, and we know. No, stop it. That's not being a true friend. That's actually, why do we do that? It's like, oh, just be, that's why I'm so excited now. There's a real movement now about, women embracing their bodies.
Yeah.
Small, large, chubby, flabby, it's so refreshing to see that, there's this movement now that, fashion industry is accepting, the larger, curvier figure. And that's how we need to be, supporting one another, not trying to cut each other down and, exactly like you said. Sometimes when we talk about someone, it's conversation.
Yeah.
When venom enters into the conversation, that's when that's when you, like you said, you really need to look at your circle of friends, because if you're walking away from there, or you're there and it's like, and you're sitting there going, what am I doing here? I could be actually getting a massage, or I could be actually being with people that actually I connect with.
Yeah.
That's when there's a shift beginning with yourself. Do you know what I mean? You're shifting. There's a change coming. And I think to myself, it's so true what you said. When you're with people and, it's their actions, their words, how are they with their other friends? When you're with them and then you're hearing about, it's like being a parasitic, you know what I mean? They're leeching onto you and telling you all about their problems, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you've gone a whole 2 hours and they haven't said, you know what, Barbara, how are you? You think to yourself, like, hold on a second, I should have charged for that counselling session. Do you know what I mean? Because I think, like, at the end of the day, it's like any relationship. It's a two-way street. There's got to be that. It all comes back to that fluid, that balance. You know what I mean? How are you? How are you going? You're there for one another, authentically there for one another.
Knowing shit about someone, like actually caring rather than keeping up with the Joneses. Got to get a new house, got to get the new car, got to get the boat, got to get whatever it is. But do you think that women in their 50s and upwards can make new friends?
Look, I mean, I've heard I had a lady that I worked with who's in her, I think, late 60s, 70s, who's moved from, the Southern Highlands to Coffs Harbour. And I think the transition was a big move for her, and trying to find new friends hasn't been, because it's a closed circuit. You know what I mean? Coffs Harbour is a lot smaller than the Southern Highlands or Sydney. Do you know what I mean? People have got their friendship groups, but I think ultimately, sometimes women can be a little bit cautious of new women coming into a group. But I think, hey, why?
We said at the same time. I was like, why?
Like, why? Because why not get to know someone new? You know what I mean? You could really bond together. You don't know what they could bring into the group.
You know what? We've all been that woman. So in my life, I've moved country. So I didn't know anyone in Australia. So I've been that person for such a long time that when I meet a group of people, I'm just lucky that everyone's been, majority of people have been so welcoming and so nice, because I didn't know anyone here. But when you have a marriage breakup and you have to split friends or whatever, like, if you see someone that's on the outskirts, you're going to be that person one day in one era of your life, whether it's starting a new job or going to a new gym or going to a new meditation class or yoga class or whatever. I want you to reach out to that person and welcome them in, because I've been that person, and I'm sure times you've been that person. But can you just I always make sure I can always read body language very well, and if I see a lady
looking a bit lost.
Well, this is a really bad example, but I'm just going to bring it up because not many people will be in this position. But when I had to go to court to put an AVO on my partner that I moved here for, I went into court for the first time I'd ever been to court in my life, and the women were on one side of the room and the men were on the other. It was so bizarre. And anyway, there was a woman that was a shell of a woman. She was shaking. No one was standing around her. Everyone was just looking at their phones and too busy. I noticed this woman, she'd probably be old enough to be my mother, and she was petrified because the guy across from her, whoever it was, her abusive partner, was staring her down. So I actually purposely stood in front of her, and I thought, oh my God, Barbara, if something's going to kick off, you're going to jump in. And I was just going, why? But it was just a primal thing. She was so scared. No, everyone was ignoring her because it was making other people feel uncomfortable. And I just stood in front of her to protect her. God knows if anything kicked off. The police were somewhere around. But it was interesting because I stood there and I just spoke to her, and she was so shaky. And I said, I just talked to her, and she just told me her story, and she cried and she gave me a hug, and she was just like, thank you, I'm so scared, I'm so lonely. And then what happened when my time came to come up, the cop, I didn't realize, but the police were watching this the whole time, and they pulled me aside. They said, well, thank you so much. Like, we can't do this. But because of that, part of the reason why my case was about to go for the court and my ex-partner hadn't turned up. And so they actually said, you know what, we've just seen you in action. We know you're a good person. There's so many things happening to your ex-partner that he's going to get charged for, but we're going to let you off. Next time this comes to court, we'll represent you, which they were going to, but they said, don't bother coming back. We'll take care of this for you. But a part of that was I saw someone in distress, and everyone else saw her, ignored her on their phones. And I thought, how can you ignore that? And so I did it without even thinking. I stood in front of her, protected her, asked her name, how is she going? She wouldn't really say much to me in the beginning. It was okay. I said, look, I'm just going to stand here. And she goes, thank you, dear. And she didn't really say anything, and she was just shaking, like tremendously shaking. And I just said, oh, this is pretty shit, isn't it? And she had a little giggle, and I don't know, I found my sense of humor and was just talking about something stupid. I don't even know what it was now. And then she walked up to me and she just told me her story, and I just talked to her, and she stopped shaking, and she just, for a moment, it was just her and me. And then she cried and gave me a hug, and then the police came over and looked after her. But it was like, in that moment, if you see another woman that's making other people feel uncomfortable, or a woman that's lonely or scared, can you just go and help them? Because you never know when you're that person.
Exactly right. And I mean, that's such a beautiful example of a random act of kindness. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that could have really taken her down a path, you know, I mean, that could have changed her direction. Just that random act, you just don't know how, you know, things might have changed for her just because you took the time to actually, you know, not think about your situation at that point in time, but actually, you know, moved your energy towards her. You don't know how that impacted her in that day, and, you know, the day after that and the day after that. You know, you could have forged her into such a different direction that, you know, that you should be really proud of that. And I think it comes back to the fact that, yes, we should, you know, why do women sometimes feel, you know, that it's hard to make friends in 50s, 60s and 70s? It shouldn't be. You know, we've all got something to bring to the table. You know, we've all had life experience. You know, you could be missing out on meeting that real BFF, you know, someone that you really connect with and want to do things with, you know, and we've got to, you know, it's like, it's human nature. Sometimes, you know, we can't help ourselves, you know, you feel that, oh God, judgy, you know, critical, but, you know, we've got to stop it. It's just, it's not our place to judge someone else's life, you know, be critical of someone else's life. We're not living it.
No.
We're accountable for ourselves. They're accountable for themselves. You know, they've got to live with the decisions they make for their own life, and we've got to be accountable for the decisions we make with our own life. So it's not our place.
Yeah,
you know.
Most of the time when we're critical of someone, we're projecting what we really think about ourselves. And that's a really hard thing if you don't love yourself right now, or you haven't been to any therapy or done anything. That's the thing I want you to take away is when you find that you're really bitching about someone, or someone with feathers or makes you feel uncomfortable, I want you to look at yourself and go, Why are they making me feel uncomfortable? Why am I
Mm,
jealous? Why am I envious? Because when you're being critical of someone else, all that is saying is it's something about you.
mm. That's so true. It is so true, because half the time when you do self-reflect and realize, why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
Why am I getting so worked up about this? It usually comes back. Yeah, you're right. It usually comes back to you.
And it's like
And
my
there's nothing wrong with, going to, therapy. There's nothing wrong with about talking to people and working on yourself. I mean, there's so much great material out there.
yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a really great, on YouTube, Wayne Dyer, that's called The Shift. You know,
I love
thinking.
that.
He's fabulous about taking stock and realizing what is really important in life. It's
Mm.
not about the latest handbag, like you were saying, the latest handbag, or having the latest Audi in your driveway. It's about the simplistic things in life. It's about connection with self, others, and the universe.
Mm.
It's coming back to, realizing that you don't need all those material things. You can't take it with us.
Oh yeah, I mean, if it's in your values and you like nice stuff, like all of us like nice stuff, and it makes life better. And if it fills your cup, it's great. But if we've all got that example, we might be eyeing that pair of boots or the handbag or
Mm,
the wallet or the nice bracelet or the nice watch. And it's interesting when you buy something and then you look at it like 3 or 4 weeks later and you go, don't really care now. So it's interesting. I want you to know that when you're looking at that next big ticket item that you're going to buy for yourself, like we're here for a good time,
yeah,
not a long time, a good time. So if you want to have the thing, you get it, because we want joy, we need enjoyment. But just to know that that's not where you get your fulfillment from, because when I'm sure when you buy a new car or anything, you can have it, and then after a couple of months, the novelty wears off, and you're
it
like,
does.
yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
and
that new,
yeah,
yeah, the new car smell goes. It's like, oh, okay, radio. Yeah, it's just another car. At the end of the day, sometimes you've got to look at it too. When people do constantly purchase things, what is missing?
mm,
If you're thinking that buying material things over and over and over again, you know, is there a void somewhere else? Are we trying to fill something that we're missing in our own lives? Do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes, yes, it's great when we want to purchase something, but when we're purchasing things way too often, what are we substituting that for?
yeah,
Because it's that instant, that gratification of getting something new, but like you said, a few weeks later, it's sitting in the corner getting dust.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's all coming back to, what's important. If we're living in ego,
mm,
we're not living within our true selves. It's letting go of the ego and just stepping forward and just experiencing what life has to offer.
yeah, and being
And
your own self, like just like how thank you for sharing all that being vulnerable about how you felt when you were at school and not being able to be yourself. And when you're yourself, you will attract the right people for you.
exactly.
But just being okay being you, like,
Mm.
it's so refreshing and rewarding when you don't have to wear a different mask for different people, and you can just, doesn't mean you tell people your life story or anything, but
No, you don't. You
that
don't have to be an open book and say, I mean, I think, a lot of us have been through a lot throughout life. I mean, I could share a lot more, because there's, been, um, you know, abuse as a child, and you don't have to sit there and start opening up your whole. 'Cause that's, people go, whoa, hold on a second, this person's way too much for me. Do you know what I mean? You can keep a few things, to yourself,
yeah,
not wearing, like you said, removing that mask and just being who you are, and being comfortable with the fact that not everyone's going to resonate with you, not everyone's going to like you. You know what? And that's okay. I
yeah,
mean, we get caught up when we're younger, like, why doesn't she like me? Why haven't they invited me to that party? Why have they left me out? What is it about me? No, don't worry about it.
yeah,
It's okay. You're not going to connect, gel with everybody.
Yeah.
You will you will find those people, you will find one another. I've got some wonderful friends in my life that are really encouraging and just beautiful people. And the thing is, like, I don't sweat the small stuff. I used to a lot.
Mm.
I still worry about everything. Oh, why hasn't she called? Why hasn't he called? And oh my God, why did they look at me that way? And why didn't they worry? Always worrying about what people are saying, what people are thinking. Thinking about things in my head way too much. Worrying.
What
You know,
changed for you?
like I said to you, it was my late 40s. I got to the point and I thought, well, how is this working for you? It's not. It's not
Okay.
working. It was actually, I was going nowhere, worrying about this and worrying about that. It was fruitless.
Mm.
Do you know, I felt like I was stagnant, 2 step forwards, 20 step back. I got to the point, I thought, what is important? What is important to me? What do I feel like my purpose is? A lot of us don't know what our life purpose is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people go, oh, what am I here for? Like,
Well,
you
I've just
don't have.
found mine, and I'm nearly 42, and I've just found mine. So,
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, people will think, oh, well, I haven't gone to uni, I haven't got a degree, I haven't been. You know, you don't have to have a degree to be able to help people. You don't have to have they're great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, wow, I've started one about 3 times, and that self-sabotage and fear kicked in, and I was like, you can't do this, you're too old, you're all this, and I put it aside. But if that's what you want to do, just do it. And
yeah.
I got to the point where I thought to myself, like I was saying, if there's other women out there who are feeling a little bit lost, feeling like they've got no direction, feeling like low self-worth, no confidence, you know what I mean? If I can help one person realize that, at the end of the day, they are the most important person, we've just got to nurture that a little bit, tweak this and tweak that, and then igniting, I've got my little tagline, igniting your potential, seeing what you are all about. And it doesn't matter. It comes back to, you can, find your purpose in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. It
Mm.
doesn't matter. But I
Mm.
think sometimes, women, we've always grown up with thinking that women need to take the back seat. We're the mother, we're the nurturer, we're, you know what I mean? Like, behind every good man is a fantastic woman. Do you know what I mean? And
Mm.
now it's time for us to come out from that, behind that, and shine. Start living, start expressing, start showing the world and the people around you who care and love for you who you are.
Mm.
And I can't stress enough, it's so important to just self-love, heal that heart, and really heal that heart and infuse it with love, because it's just so important for yourself, for your children, for your spouse, for that new relationship, and ultimately for you,
Mm.
because it will help you within the workplace and all everyone around you. And the thing is, and the great thing is, when you start to go on this new journey of yourself, for you, looking after you, people notice stuff. They'll go, well, what are you doing? You
Yeah.
start to, the smile starts to appear, you radiate, and people go, what have you done? Have you had work done? No, it's just that I'm actually, I'm actually taking care of me. It's not about being selfish and saying, oh, the kids can get dinner for themselves, or, oh, you can get home from basketball training. No, it's not about being selfish. I'm kicking on the lounge having a glass of wine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still doing things that you need to do, but, just remembering that you're just as important, as your spouse, your children, your parents, everybody. It comes back to you. The only person that can create change is us.
That's right. But before we wrap up today, you've shared so many great nuggets with us, and I'd love for you to share, if you've got one piece of advice, and you may have already shared it, but what's one piece of advice that you would like listeners to know about?
Well, my best is, like to me is the only person you've got to impress is yourself. And then, we are the most important project to work on, because until we work on ourselves, that healing, that love, it's not going to start to rise. You want to be like that phoenix rising, coming out of your shell, breaking free, coming out and saying, hey, this is me, love me or hate me, but this is me. Love me for who I am. And not everyone's going to like this new change in the person that you are, but who cares?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So I think you would have really, I know that you would have resonated with a lot of people listening today. So especially women that are coming into their 50s or maybe in their 50s or 60s or so on, if they want to find out more about you or want to reach out to you to work with you, how can they do that?
They can either call me on my mobile, or I'm on Facebook and Insta. They can send me a message at Envision Holistic Therapies. I mean, my mobile, I'm happy to share that with you.
I'll put that in the show notes and stuff.
Yeah. So I'm more than happy to, if they can reach out to me that way. Because this is, like I'm getting a new website set up. So once that's up and running, I can always reach out to you and give that to you. Like I said, there's lots of little things that we can do to, work with these beautiful women and realize that they're all deserving. They're all deserving of this self-worth, this self-love, this confidence and belief in themselves. It's so important to believe in yourself. Sometimes when you're in a horrible toxic relationship and you're getting that emotional abuse, you start to believe, God, you know what I mean? And just knowing, no, you are not that person. You're not that person. Like we said before, it's a projection of themselves. And once we start to realize that it's a projection of those of others and not us, and we need to sit in that and realize that, we're okay. It's about getting, the right support, the right guidance, because that to me is paramount. There's a lot of charlatans out there that, profess that they can do this, this and that. It's about, finding, and this is why your podcast is fantastic. It's being able to find that guidance, love and support that's authentic.
Yeah, and that's right for you, because what works for some person won't work for someone else. We all need different things at different times, but I just want to thank you so much today for joining me on my podcast and sharing your story and your journey to where you are today. It's really, really want to let women know that it's okay to be alone. Doesn't mean you're going to be alone forever.
That's right.
It's your time to really get to know yourself and project. I'm a completely different person than I was 5 years ago. So exactly. I know when I meet that person. And you know what the thing is, before we close up, is the first time in my life I actually have standards. And there's nothing wrong with that. I laugh when I say that, but
it's great.
I know what I want. I know what he needs to have to come into my life.
That's exactly the advice that I give. There is nothing wrong with having standards, because the thing is, then you're going to attract that right person into your life.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with walking away. Oh, this is not what I'm looking for, and walking away. If there's red flags, alarm bells, you're being knocked down by a signpost saying this isn't the right guy for you, take heed. They are signs, and there's signs for a bloody reason. Walk away now. You know what I mean? That is brilliant, Barbara, that you've got standards.
Oh, and it's all right, Maisie. And Maisie even agrees. My dog.
Yeah, that's validation.
On that note, we'll wrap up today, but thank you so much for joining me.
It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you and talk with you, and I look forward to working with women and just knowing their true self and igniting their potential.
Yeah, lovely. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and it has inspired you on your self-care journey. Please feel free to share this with a friend and subscribe over on Apple Podcast. I really love hearing your feedback, so guys, please feel free to write a review on Apple and let me know which part of this episode resonated with you the most. To fall in love with yourself is the first secret to happiness. To find out a bit more about Self-Care Studio or the Studio Chat podcast, head over to my Instagram page, self_care_studio, or on my website, selfcarebybarbarathomson.com.au. Really look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Look after you, and I'll catch you soon. Bye!